Everyone here is an officer of a club, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You want to go to a place called Club Central. It's under Leadership Central and then Club Central. So Leadership Central, Club Central. When you go there, the clubs you belong to show up on tiles on the screen. I have 3 clubs there. I'm an officer. I'm actually a member of 4 clubs. I'm an officer in 3 of them. So these are the 3 clubs that show up for me, and I'm going to use Daybreak as an example. This is where you, as an officer of your club, can find out every piece of data that you will need to make better decisions about everything that you do in the club. You can find out what your actual club roster is, who's in the club, who's paid, how long they're paid till. So you can look at the list and say, oh, so-and-so didn't rejoin. Your treasurer might not have told you that, but you can find that out without asking the treasurer. Who didn't rejoin your club? It'll tell you. They're paid till. And this, right now, our paid till is March of 2020. So anybody in your roster that's paid till September is now in a grace period. At the end of November, they're off your list. They're not there anymore. Okay? So if you need their contact information, you want to print that roster out now. There is a place called Club Demographics. This tells you what Toastmasters believes is your mailing address, the information about the club. Let's see, this is hard to see. It's got the club name, what kind of club it is. It's a community club. What language they speak. When they were chartered. How many of you know when your club was chartered? But if you don't, you should find out, because then you have anniversaries. And anniversaries are great times to have open houses.
That's a good
or
one.
Special meetings.
That's a good we'll sit there.
The mailing address is here. If there's online attendance, that means if you're an online club, you've got people who join remotely, that would be there. And then the membership composition. It says it's open to all interested parties. If any of that information is wrong, you need to bring it to the attention of your board, tell them it's wrong, and make a change to it after you guys discuss it. As an officer, you can change any of this. A notification goes back out to the president of the club. That information, then somebody says, oh, something was changed. So you want to talk to your other board members before you go in and change anything. And then the mailing address of the club is in here too. Our president is sitting outside giving us registration help today. His address is here for our mailing. So when we get stuff from Toastmasters, it comes to him. When you've been to this screen, you can go back, right, clicking on Club Central. Takes you back one screen. Really, really important. Club officer assignment. Now I know the deadline is gone. The deadline was June 30th. But if your club officer assignment isn't current, we as a district can't notify the correct officer for workshops like this. So you want to check that. Make sure the real officers are in there. And if they're not, you as an officer can change that and put those in. Then just notify somebody that you've done that. Again, make sure you're communicating with your other officers. There are other things, like, for example, I am the treasurer of one of my clubs. So I will add a member who joins because I have their credit card information and the money piece. That top line underneath the words club membership says add membership. That's where I add a new member when it comes in. And when you are an officer, you have access to that. You have access to submit educational awards, but your vice president of education, your president, or your secretary is actually the person who does that. But let's say your educational award isn't in there, something you've completed. You should be able to check that up here to make sure it's been registered in your profile, but you can't submit your own. So you need to have one of your other officers go in there and submit that educational award. Because now with Pathways, we have a 2-piece educational submission. It was always 2 pieces before, but they all were inside this program. Now, part of it's in base camp where we make a note they completed that level, or we approve it. And then you have to go back out here and actually submit that approval in Club Central. You have to put that piece together because they don't automatically go. Maybe they'll improve that. Maybe it'll change. But right now, it's still 2 steps. So that's what that's for.
And that's what Pathways. So Pathways, within Pathways itself, base camp, that's where you record what you've accomplished, and then you still got to submit. You got to come back to Club Central to submit.
Yeah, but you as the person can't, your officer does.
Yeah, the submission.
Yes.
But the recording we can.
And the submission, that goes into what Jeremy was mentioning. It's called the DCP, the Distinguished Club Program. And I'll talk about that in just a few minutes. That gives your club credit for getting that educational award. My personal goal this term as your chief trainer is to have every club in the district, have every member at least submit, have the ability to submit 1 educational award. Now, what does that mean? In the old program, it's the competent communicator, competent leader, advanced communicator bronze, it's all of those. If you have a new member, it's Pathways Level 1, Pathways Level 2, Pathways Level 3. Believe it or not, Pathways is so much easier to get an award.
Yeah.
Level 1 in Pathways is 4 things, maybe 5. Icebreaker, a speech, another speech.
Repeat the speech.
You evaluate somebody and you do a research your topic. That's 4 speeches and 1 evaluation. Anybody pick up on something very different here? A brand new Toastmaster, brand new to your club, is going to evaluate one of you as one of their projects. In the old system, we didn't let them evaluate until they had done 3 or 4 or 5 speeches. We just didn't. Pathways forces that. I love that because the best evaluation I ever received was from a Toastmaster who'd only been a Toastmaster for 6 months. 6 months. Didn't know me from Adam. Didn't know how long I'd been in Toastmasters. Didn't know that he wasn't supposed to say certain things, which I appreciated because I got insight from someone who told me what he liked, what he would change, and how I impressed that person. That's important. Every speaker should get that kind of evaluation. And now with Pathways, we have a vehicle to make that happen. In Daybreak, we have a brand new Toastmaster. She didn't know any better. She saw that she needed to do an evaluation. She just signed up. Then she asked me, oh my God, do I have to do a speech about this? I said, no, this is just you giving an evaluation of someone else's speech. Oh, okay. She was thrilled that she could do that. Thrilled. She'd only done 1 speech. 1. She did her icebreaker. She wasn't ready to write another speech yet, so she did this so she could participate and move forward in her Pathways experience. It's excellent. Really, really better. Now, with only 5 things, 5 steps, that's half of the work that a competent communication needs to complete. Every single club can convince a new member to do 5 things between now and June of next year. 5. It's a great way. It's something you can promote within your club because every new member that gets something like that, Then you bring them up to the front and you go, this person completed level 1. Yay! They're going to feel great. It's going to feel like they got something. It's going to feel like this membership is meaningful to them. So it's a short distance from the beginning to that accomplishment. They have badges. If your club is lucrative, they have badges that you can purchase that say level 1. You can get badges for their actual path that they're working on. It's great. A couple of other things about pathways. Often, people sign up for a path because it sounds like something they want to do, and it's not. Make sure someone who signs up for a path goes through all of the materials really quickly, and if they don't want to do something toward the end, they call TI and they can switch their path. I think they have 30 days. Marcia, is it 30 or 60?
For what?
To change your path.
30.
30 days. So make sure they're in it. But as an officer of the club, you have a kind of, you're accessible to your new members. And what I want to tell you is, I personally recommend sitting down with the cheat sheets that we offer on District 52 that show every single level path project that you need to accomplish to finish this path. As responsible officers, it's best if we help people pick paths that they're willing to complete. So if their desire is to speak better or present better, there are a couple of paths that just have that. And if you look at the paths, and our cheat sheets online will help you with that, you can guide your new member into a path that may not be named some fancy thing that they think they're going after, but like Jeremy said, in level 3 there's lots and lots of electives, and you can pick those electives to fine-tune what you want, but you don't have those things at the end that just don't apply to you. How many of you know how many educational awards the members in your club have done? How many of you know you can find out?
Which members?
Which members,
Oh.
what educational awards they've submitted.
Do tell.
So if you go to Leadership Central and you go to the Distinguished Performance Reports,
Yep.
it's not here.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
What I discovered in August of 2012 was this. Over here on the left, and this is tiny,
I'm sorry, how'd you get there again?
Leadership Central,
Leadership Center, yes.
Distinguished Performance Reports.
Oh, thank you.
This is the main one to look at.
This is the one that when I highlight District 52,
Yep.
you can see how the district is doing. But how important is that? You're a club member. The most important thing for you is, how's my club doing? Okay? So the first thing I want to show you is that, and then I'm going to show you how to find out how your members are doing.
That's even more detailed.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
in this list, this is District 52. So I am clicking on District 52.
Thank you.
This is how the district is doing, but not your club. Now I know I'm part of the district, but believe it or not, the district doesn't want you focused on this,
No.
because that will happen automatically. People will pay dues, clubs will become distinguished. What we're interested in is the personal health of every single club in the district. Believe it or not, our theme, Dare to be Great, doesn't have to do with the district being great. It has to do with individuals being great, getting what they came for. They paid dues, you paid dues. You're serving as an officer, you're giving of your time. We care that you are getting something out of that experience. That's what Dare to be Great has to do with. So what my job is as your program quality director is to help you figure that out. So on this screen, this is our district, this is how we're doing. Over here on this side, it says division and area. And again, that's not your club. Down below that, it says club. These are the clubs in District 52 on this sheet. Now, you should be able to find your club in this list. Okay, they're all listed. But let's say, oh my God, there's 104 clubs in the district. How am I going to find mine? Write this down. Control, CTRL on your computer, and F. Okay, somebody shout out the name of a club.
One and done.
Well, that's good. Wine and Dine is at the bottom, so that's good. I don't see it on this screen. I'm going to type in wine, and look, I hardly got to WIN, and it already jumped to the bottom of the screen to Wine and Dine Toastmaster. And that's what I'm after. I want every one of you to leave here today knowing how to make your club stronger and more productive and more fun to be a part of. So because we were searching on Wine and Dine, this little number to the left of the name is a hot link directly to Wine and Dine's club information. Now we are in Wine and Dine.
DCP report.
You can see it at the top. It says the club number, Wine and Dine Toastmasters. On the left, it has the alignment. That's the district, or the region, the district, the division, and the area.
Got 2 points.
The middle
Not as
one,
motivated.
the middle one tells you where your membership numbers are at. What's the base number? That's how many Wine and Dine ended up with in June 30th of this year. That's when the term ends. Our Toastmasters terms July 1st to June 30th. So on June 30th, they had 25 members, and to date they have 22. How many members does it require? Why is it 20? Why is it 20? Oh, because 20 is the minimum.
Yeah.
It's okay, duh. It's all right.
20 is the
Okay,
magic
yes.
number.
Does that mean fewer and they have to dissolve?
No, it doesn't. It means they've already met the requirement, okay?
But if the
So-
club is not a.
So let's say you have a club that only has 12 members in it. And last term you ended with 15 members. There's a second part to this formula, and that is Toastmasters requires that every club that wants to be a distinguished club gains 5 members or has 20. That's the formula. You gain 5 or you have 20, and whatever that number is, that works. So let's say I have 12, I add 5, 12 plus 5 is 17. If I have 17 members by June 30th, I can become distinguished. Very important data. You don't have to work and struggle and have to get to that 20. Your club may only need 17. It's just 5 more than, let's say you had 8. You only need 13. Don't struggle over the little things. Go for the small steps. Find out where your club is at. Find out how many members you need to meet that goal, and then go after it. As Vice President of PR, I'm going to teach you how to do that. There are 3 qualification markers for distinguished. This one is the hardest one to get.
That's the club.
The members.
The other ones are easier
The
to
magic
get. You
20
can,
number.
you can make those other things happen so fast. That one's the hardest to get, okay? So this is your numbers, and then down here, and the part that you can't see from this is what educational awards this club has submitted at the top. The middle section, the section below that is the membership values. They've added 2 members this term since July 1st. And the training, they got 7 officers trained in the first training period. This is the second training period. So they are starting, Maurice will be at number 1 in that slot, and he'll need 3 more. 3 more to make the second half of the training point number 9. Also one of the easiest things to get. And then the bottom, this is important for your secretary, president, or VPE. The membership, the club officer list doesn't happen next term, even though the point value is given in the term following. This point is earned in July 1st, but it's made June 30th.
Yes.
Every officer has the ability to submit the officer list. And it needs to be submitted right after your elections. And your elections are in May, so the officer list goes in right after that. The deadline is June 30th. Don't miss that deadline.
Unless you're on a 6-month term.
That's true. The 6-month people have to do it twice a year. Yes.
December 30th.
That's if you meet once a week. Yes.
Once a week?
Yes, if the club meets once a week, they're on a 6-month term. Yes. Any weekly clubs in the room?
Yes, motivated.
But we like to do it on a year though, right?
That's our choice, we have to.
But you
we
still
have
have
to-
to submit
Submit
the
it
officer
Because it was
list
totally blank when we were looking.
in December. Is it December?
Yeah, December 30th and June 30th.
Yes. So if you meet weekly, you have a December 30th deadline. How does that reflect on here? Do you know?
It's on the daily reports.
No. How does it reflect in the club officer list on time for a weekly club?
I think it only has to be once.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
But you still are required to submit it. Now, look at this. I have been on the internet since 1985.
Wow.
So when I joined Toastmasters, this was fun because I got to find out things. Now, look over here on the left, and it says daily reports. Daily reports. What's that?
Shall we click?
Click that. If I want to know if my officer list status got put in on time, help me, Marcia. This would be July, correct?
Because that was the last one we submitted, yes.
Yes,
July.
because you pick the closest month backwards to the month you're in now. We're in November.
Well, it's everything.
Back to July. I can tell which clubs all across the district turned in their officer list on time. Or actually turned in their officer list. I can't tell if it's on time or not.
So to the left, you see
Yes,
daily
you can,
reports.
because there's a date.
Click on that, and then look to the
Yeah,
right.
I don't like to
for,
do that.
July archives, like that, July archive.
So this list says that
Help you.
all of these clubs have turned in their officer list. It says received and a date, okay? Earlier this term, that list had at least 20 clubs that didn't submit their officer list. Now, the term before mine, they got on the phone and they started calling clubs, submit your officer list, submit your officer list, you're missing the point. But in my book, that is something that officers need to know. But it's not a district mission to monitor whether you submitted an officer list. It's not my mission. It's my mission to show you as officers how to find out that so you can talk to your own officers about that. Now that's my opinion, but I believe the district's business is about making sure we are spending your money properly, making sure we're training you, making sure we're giving you what you need, the tools you need to succeed. It's not my business to do what you guys do. That's why I show you this stuff, so you can find out what's going on in your club and you can talk to your own board and get that straightened out. So coming June of next year, this list will say not received for almost everybody. And then you start seeing it get populated. They need to submit the list not for the point, but for the contact information. If I have this really wonderful workshop coming up that an officer should attend, especially a new officer, they won't get notification because I won't know they're an officer of that club. Toastmasters won't know they're an officer of that club. Your club misses out. You, as a member of that club, miss out because that communication is not being made to the correct person. Okay? It's just like when I showed you, and I'm going to go back to that in just a few minutes, where your name is, your profile, check your email address, check your phone number, make sure it's all correct. I think, Donald, you retired work, right?
Yes, I did.
Now, his email, one of his emails had his work address. He now has a personal email that he uses. In Toastmasters, he's changed it because it comes through on the membership list to his personal. But let's say he didn't. All that mail would be bouncing because he doesn't work there anymore. So check that. That's very important. Okay, so that's this. Okay, now, see 1, 2, 3 down, right here, right there. Educational achievements, current year. Guess what that is? That's a list of every single member in District 52 that has submitted an educational award. You want to know what the shocker was for me? We have 2,300 members.
That's a
We
shocker.
had approximately 700 educational awards. Approximately 400 of those were individuals. What does that mean? That means 1,800 people never submitted an educational award all last term. What are they getting out of their membership? What is the club not providing for them? It's great that the people who've been in Toastmasters a long time are submitting educational awards. People like me who give speeches everywhere because we're talking to clubs, we're talking to groups. That's great. But what about the new member? Don't you think it's good for them to get an educational award, to see that progress that they're making? I want to see every member have that opportunity so that this list has 2,300 individual names on it. Not 700, not 400. Any officer can submit awards. So
In Club Central?
in Club Central, because you're an officer. I'm a Pathways person, I'm taking effective coaching, I finished a project, I mark complete in Pathways.
Pending approval.
A notification goes to the president, the VPE, and the secretary. Again, this is why the importance of the email addresses and their officer list. President gets a notification, VPE gets a notification, and the secretary gets a notification. But there are 3 offices that Toastmasters International has decided should have access to see those awards. Okay? Those officers then go into Base Camp Manager and they see a 1 line. It says Jeremy Weinglass completed level 1 in project blah blah blah. 2 boxes: approve or deny or disapprove, one of the things. But it's yes or no. I am here to tell you, never, ever, ever press no. Never. Unless the member has said, wait a minute, I made a mistake, don't approve that. If you suspect a member is doing something they shouldn't, have a board meeting to discuss it with that member. Don't take this on yourself. You are not responsible for that person, okay? Let the universe take care of that. Don't worry about it. Just accept what they did and move on. So your job, or the job of the president, VPE, and secretary, is to approve those. Then any officer can submit it into Club Central. If you are the kind of person that is responsible and can forward that in emails, have yourself in there, great, that's fine. If your club contact is somebody who is too busy to read all their emails, has their Toastmasters emails going to spam, has opted out for things, you are really in trouble. And you need to have that changed. We have the educational awards for the current year. You can see who's submitted awards. You can sort this by club. You can sort it by name. You can find out if your awards are in there. But what if you want to know what happened last year or the year before? Maybe you're a statistician kind of person and you really want to know where your club's been. They also have an Educational Achievements Archive. That link tells you all the educational awards since 2003? 2003. Before that, they were digitized. They're in boxes, banker's boxes, in a cold locker somewhere in Colorado. So these are the ones that are from all those years ago. Again, you can sort it by name or club and find out who did what. And you can see what the growth was. Last year, they reported that there's more educational awards submitted this term than before. It still meant only 400 people plus submitted awards. It's just that Pathways is easier to get awards, so we had like all these level 1s, all these level 2s. It didn't tell us, unfortunately, that every club in the district had somebody putting in awards. There were a lot of clubs that didn't put any awards in at all because they didn't believe in that process. I believe every member wants to achieve something. And to me, it's about the member, not about the district, not about the area, not about the division. It's about your club and being healthy. It's not about points. It's great for your club because you need to have those points to become distinguished. That's great. I want every club in the district to be distinguished. But if you're distinguished with only 4 of your 20 members getting educational awards, unfortunately, I do not view that as a healthy club. I view that as a club that's pushing for points. I want your members to be happy. I want your members to come back to your meetings because they're getting something from you as officers. I want your clubs to be sustaining members, keeping them, making them wish Thursday's coming because the meeting's there. I want that. I want that in every club. So that's my goal. Not so much points. That happens organically. If you have 20 members submitting awards, you have 20 educational awards on there. Nothing better. I'm happy. It's perfect. In every case, it's perfect.